110b. Let's see. So, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines from the bottom and the middle of the line. Tanarama, Rabbi's top. Yelam Yoder Adam Beretz Yisrael, Afilu Be'ir Sharuba Ota Kochavim. This is a passage that I've heard quoted many times. This is the source. A person is preferred to live in the land of Israel, even in a city that is majority idolaters. It's not in outside of the land of Israel, Israel, even the majority Jewish city. If you live in Israel, you're like someone who has a God. If you live outside of Israel, you're like someone that does not have a God. As says many times, God brought you here to give you the land of Canaan and to be for you a God. So it links the idea of living in the land of Israel to having a God. Is that really, it's a surprising statement, the Gemara says. What it's really trying to tell you is, in other words, you can't say that it's like someone who has no God. God is everywhere, I guess. But it's to me, it's even worse. It's like living outside of the land of Israel is like being an idolater, like serving idols.
Is it more understandable than the first way? It seems equally understandable.
Well, yeah, I mean, the first one is theologically problematic. In other words, like, how can you say that you don't have a God outside the land of Israel? God is everywhere.
And the second way?
Is like then it puts it all on you. It's like you think that you're serving God's will by living outside the land of Israel. It's not so. It's like you're worshiping another God, as it were. It's still a shocking statement, right? Especially for those of us outside the land of Israel. So another proof text is about King David. They have driven me away from being connected to the inheritance of God. Saying, like, go worship other gods. Never told him to worship other gods. By having to leave the land of Israel and run away to Moab, he's saying it's like being driven to worship another god. Now, actually, in the context, the idea of God and nationhood in the ancient world was very pervasive, right? Very tightly connected. If you were a Moabite, that meant that you were a worshiper of Chemosh. So it makes sense in that context for David to say, if I'm to become a citizen of Moab or a resident of Moab, I'm going to be a Chemosh worshiper. So in a more modern context, I dare say, even in the context of exile in Babylonia, it's less, it seems less connected to that reality. Nonetheless, of course, the Gemara doesn't take that into account. It's just looking for proof texts for the point it's trying to make. Rabbi Zera was avoiding, running and bumping into Rabbi Yehuda. The Baal Lamesa clears Yisrael because Rabbi Zera was preparing to make Aliyah, to leave Babylonia and go to Eretz Yisrael.
You were expecting a more like that to be found in the Yerushalmi and not in the Bavli.
Yeah, interesting. Anyway, Zera was afraid that Rabbi Yehuda doesn't approve of his moving to Eretz Yisrael, so he's avoiding him. Yom Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda said, "Kol ha'olam miBavel Eretz Yisrael over b'aseh." Rabbi Yehuda said really the opposite of what we're saying. It's like you can't leave Babylonia for the land of Israel. Shnamar Babel Yuval B'Shama Yu Ad Yom Pakdios and Hashem. This is like a forerunner of the Neturei Karta. Pasuk says, it predicts that through the Navi that you're going to be brought to Babel and you're going to stay there until I redeem you, until I remember you, right? So it's like you can't take that into your own hands. You have to wait for God to redeem you. Rabbi Zera didn't take any stock in that. Hahu b'chlei sharis ksiv. They're not talking about people. That's talking about the temple vessels. Okay, so the temple vessels you can't take back until God decides to take them back, but you can go back. Rabbi Yehuda, so Rabbi Yehuda has a different proof. Ksiv karachina. We have a different pasuk. Hishmati Yisrael menos Yerushalayim b'tzvah so va'elos hasada. I forswear you, the daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles or by the whatever Iolos translates here, hinds of the field or whatever animal that is. It's a metaphor that we're being forsworn not to retake Eretz Yisrael, not to go back to Eretz Yisrael until God redeems us. So that's a separate pasuk, another proof for Rabbi Yehuda not to go back to Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Zera says, that means don't do it by force. A single person wanting to go back to Eretz Yisrael is different than trying to reconquer Eretz Yisrael. As we've seen in our own times, that is what is disputed by those who follow that derivation from the pasuk Rabbi Yehuda. So what's Rabbi Yehuda's response like? So what's wrong with Rabbi Zera? As a single person goes back to Israel. Hishbati Achrin Aksiv. That pasuk is repeated in Shir HaShirim. So there's more than one oath here. So sure, maybe you'll say the one oath is not to do so by force, but then what's the other oath? The other oath, he says, applies to even an individual person. Rabbi Zera respond to that. That extra oath, there's another reason, different reason why you have the extra oath. According to Rabbi Yossi, there's actually repeated 3 times in Shir HaShirim, Hishbati Yashem. Why is it 3 times? According to Rabbi Yossi, one is don't go by force, don't take the country by force. And the other one is that God is making the Jewish people take an oath, not to rebel against the nations of the world. So separately, I guess, from the issue of Eretz Yisrael is not to, I'm not even sure how to characterize this, right? Not to rebel against the Yom, meaning, I don't know, don't set up a Jewish state in Uganda, maybe. The Achas Sheish so the Kachavim, but by the other side of the coin is God forswears the nations of the world, not to be overly oppressive to the Jewish people. Okay, and so I'm sure you're aware that in modern times, the debate around Zionism centering around this Gemara, which, to me, it's an Agadata, so sure, Rabbi Zera took it very seriously as to how it should guide your behavior. But, it really, I don't know why it took on such an overriding importance to opponents of Zionism, unless they were just trying to hang their hat on something. But at face value, at the end of the day, it's an Agadata. But the rejoinder in modern times was, what could be more overly oppressive than the Holocaust? So that kind of overturns this whole oaths thing. If the Umas Ha'olam can overturn their side of the oath, then the whole thing is canceled. Rabbi Yehuda. So anyway, what would Rabbi Yehuda respond to that? So if maybe that's really why there were 3 Hishbati Eschams and Shir HaShirim. So how is it that Rabbi Yehuda can apply it to the Rabbi Zera as an individual? So we would answer Im Ta'iru Vim Ta'aru Ksiv. the what is the continuation of this oath? You should not wake. You should not wake or rouse the love until until it blossoms of its own, or until, in metaphor, until God takes the initiative. So this extra ta'iru and ta'oru is his hook for applying these things to the individual as well as to the national body. So Rabbi Zera, so what does Rabbi Zera do with this? Ta'iru and ta'oru. Rabbi Levi. There's another drush of Rabbi Levi that depends on that. Diamar Sheshu Asalolu Lamali. Why? What are the there's the double Ta'iru and ta'oru 3 times in the 3 verses of Hishbati Eschem. So what are these 6 oaths? So we already said the 3. Enoch and the other 3 are as follows: Shlo Yugalu Asakets. That the prophets shouldn't reveal the details of the end days of the redemption to the people, and that the people should not delay the redemption. Now, it's unclear how they would do that, and that's leads into a whole different discussion of, is that was taken up by the Frankists in the extreme, which is that the another Gemara states that the Gula can come through the merits of the Jewish people, or if things get so bad, if the Jewish people become so bad, and this has the ring of the Medrash about Mitzrayim, that they were about to be irredeemable. If things get that bad, then God's hand will be forced, as it were. So this other oath is, don't go that way. Don't be a Frankist. Don't try to don't distance the redemption through sinful ways. And the 6th one, don't tell the secret to the Avnei Kochavim. What is the secret? So one view of the secret is the secret methods of the calendar, the Hebrew calendar. Of course, I don't know what the secrets are anymore, because now that the calendar has been published for all time, there's no more secret in it. So maybe we messed up that oath as well. And the other, what was the other one? There's another view that this Sod Ha'ibur, that this Sod secret is some other secret that has not been revealed, so we don't even know what it is. So don't tell anybody the secret. So we kept that one up. So anyway, so this is Reb Zera's view of how you can attribute these 6 oaths, and none of them apply to him moving as an individual to Eretz Yisrael. Okay, so now we're going to continue a little bit with the with the reading of this idea of the oaths of Shir Shirim. What does it mean, the gazelles or the hinds of the field? God said to the people, if you keep the oath, great. If not, you'll be hunted like deer, like gazelles, or whatever these animals are. You'll be hunted by others if you don't keep these oaths. Back to the idea of how bad is it how good is it to live in Eretz Yisrael? It's like being without sin. Shenamar uval yomar shachein chalisi, as the pasuk says. Don't say that I'm, that my troubles are because of my neighbors, the Jewish people. Ha'am hayoshev nesu avon, because of the people in Eretz Yisrael are nesu avon, are forgiven of sin. Amalei Rava Rashi, so Rava says, Anan besovle chalayim masniala. No, we're talking this verse is not talking about not talking about neighbors of the Jewish people of Eretz Yisrael. It's talking about people with illness, and those are somehow the people who are forgiven of sin. Not sure how that. That's kind of turning it on its head. Amravanan, call a cover buried yourself. If you're buried in the land of Israel, kilo cover tops of death, like being buried under the altar, which apparently is a good thing. The Torah says, build a mizbeach of earth. The earth will atone for his nation. So the atonement of the mizbeach is linked to this interpretation of that verse, the earth atones for his people, refers to the tzaddikim, or the avos perhaps, that were buried in Eretz Yisrael. It's a little unclear how this interpretation leads to the conclusion. Ula was a frequent flyer to Eretz Yisrael, but he passed away outside of Israel. So they came and said to Rabbi Lazar, Ant Ula Aladama Tamus. So he said, Rabbi Lazar says, woe for Ula that he died on unclean land. They said Aronaba. But he's being transported to Eretz Yisrael to be buried. He said to them, it's good that he's being buried here, but it's not the same, not as good as dying in the land of Israel. There was a guy in Eretz Yisrael who was in a Yibum situation. His brother died without children, and he was to marry the sister-in-law in this place, Bechazah, in Bavel. Also coming to Ruchanina, he went to Ruchanina, he said, Mahu Lamecha Sulyabma. Should I leave Eretz? So this guy apparently was in Eretz Yisrael, the brother. So should I leave Eretz Yisrael to go to Peit Chazah and fulfill my responsibility to marry her there? Achiv nasa kusi sumeis. Amalei. So Ruchaniya said to him, Achiv nasa kusi sumeis. It's like your brother, he married a kuti. Okay, so I don't think that she was. I think that he's saying by marrying outside of the land of Israel, that's his punishment, as it were. Baruch hamakom shaharado. So good thing that he got his due. For who so you, the brother, you're going to go and repeat the same mistake. Don't do that. That's a pretty strong statement. Ravina said, just as you can't leave the land of Israel to go to Babylonia, Bavel has a higher status in this sense than the other countries. So if you're in Bavel, which I presume the idea is it's a large, well-organized Jewish community and also a center of Torah, probably even more so than, as the Gemara states, even more so than at least in its sharpness, than in the land of Israel. So you can't leave Babylonia to go to another country. Rav Yosef you can't even leave Pumbedisa, which was a well-known center of Torah, to this Beit Kubi, some other town which wasn't as Jewish, as it were, didn't have the same Torah presence as Pumbedisa. Somebody did leave Pumbedisa for this place called Estonia. Shachiv, and he died. Rabbi said, he could have lived. If he wanted to live, he should have stayed in Pumbedisa. Rav Yosef people who are in Bavel who are worthy, they are absorbed by the land of Israel. People who are worthy in other countries can be absorbed into Bavel. What does this mean? What are we talking about? If it's like you have yichus, like you're as good, if you're a Torah scholar in Bavel, you're as worthy of you have as good yichus as somebody who lives in the land of Israel. Is that what it means? Well, can't be, because we said earlier, Kol Haratzos Esau Eretz Yisrael. All other lands are like dough compared to the land of Israel, which is like flour. So, like pure flour is unadulterated with other substances, I guess. Dough is mixed with water and whatever else you mix into it. Of Eretz Yisrael, Esau and Bavel. And Eretz Yisrael, compared to Bavel, is worse off. It's like the dough compared to the fine flour of Bavel. And this is referring, this Ma'amar is referring specifically to Yichus. And it's really surprising to find Bavel on top, although, as I said before, it was recognized as a sharper center of Torah. So anyway, we can't be saying that when Rabbi Yosef says that Eretz Yisrael like adopts you if you're worthy, and Bavel adopts you if you're worthy. What does it mean? We saw this language earlier that it gathers you in regarding being buried. So in other words, if you are a worthy person and you die in Chutz La'aretz, you can be buried in Israel. If you die outside of Bavel, you can be buried in Bavel. It's not clear if it means like should be or what, but maybe it's like a goal, or it's like it's worth the effort. Not clear what the practical lesson here is. Rabbi Yehuda says, Bavel kilu dar Eretz Yisrael. Actually, living in Bavel is as good as living in the land of Israel. Shenemar ha'itzion himalti yashavas bas Bavel. Woe to Zion, and escape you who will live with the daughter of Bavel. So it equates living in Israel with living in Bavel. Amar Abai says Naktina. We have a tradition. Bavel lochazia chavle Mashiach. Bavel won't have the chavle Mashiach, the hard times that come before the messianic times. They'll escape that. Targuma Hutzel de Binyamin. But the Gemara says. What we're talking about is not all of Bavel. It means this Hutzal de Binyamin, this one particular place in Bavel is going to escape the travails of the messianic period. And it's also called, that place is also called the Salvation Corner. The place where you can escape the evil times. Amar Elazar says, "Mesim should Chutz La'aretz einam chayim." People who die in Chutz La'aretz will not be brought back to life. In Chiyas HaMesim, Shenemar v'nosati tzvi be'eretz chayim. I will place tzvi. We'll see what that is. In the land of the living. So what's the land of the living? Eretz shetzivyoni ba me'seh chayim. So we're interpreting is that God says, the land where my armies or my strength is, which of course must mean Eretz Yisrael, is the land of the living. Eretz is even dead people there will be brought back to life. She'ein sivyoni ba, but where the places that are not in favor, those that don't come back to life. So, Charlie points out Yecheskel lived in Bavel. That's right. Well, look, you can ask on all of these things. A lot of great people have lived outside of Eretz Yisrael, even when they had the opportunity to. I mean, all the Amoraim lived in Bavel, right? The ones that, not all of them, but the ones that were in the Bavli, by and large, lived in Bavel. So this is their, they're doing their al-chaitz here. Master Rav Bar Mamel asks about Tchias HaMesim. Yichyu Mesecha Nevelasi Yukuma. The Navi says the dead will come to life. It doesn't distinguish between Israel and outside of Israel. My love, Yichyu Mesecha Mesim Sheretz Yisrael Nevelasi Yukuma Mesim Shebachutz La'aretz. It says it twice, right? There's a parallelism here. Your dead will rise. Your bodies will rise up. So one refers to in Eretz Yisrael, and one refers to outside Eretz Yisrael. So what are you telling me, that only the dead in Eretz Yisrael are going to come back to life? And furthermore, Sati Tzvi Eretz Chaim. So, and what do I do with Rabbi Lazar's verse that I'll place my favor in the land of the living? On Nebuchadnezzar, who deceived. That's talking about King Nebuchadnezzar. It's talking about something else completely, not talking about the resurrection of the dead. It's talking about God's favored one, who is Nebuchadnezzar. He was granted dominion over much of the known world. He's going to take over Eretz Yisrael and conquer it. Yom Rachmana, because the Torah says, "Ma'asina alayu malcha dekalil." Not the Torah. The God says, "Ma'asina alayu malcha dekalil ki tavia." I'm going to bring on you a king that's going to advance on Eretz Yisrael as quickly as a tzvi, as a gazelle. That's how he interprets Sati tzvi b'eretz chaim. Tzvi is the Nebuchadnezzar. Amalei. So yes. So he responds. Rabbi Lazar responds. Rabbi Mikra achar nidarish. I have another proof that only the dead in Eretz Yisrael come back to life. Nosei neshama la'am aleha v'ruach lahol chiba. God gives a soul to the people on the land, and a spirit to those who walk on the land. So that's only Eretz Yisrael who people come to life. Or it says Velaksiv Nivelas Yukum. So what do you do with the verse that implies that both in and outside of Eretz Yisrael the dead come back to life? How have been following who they'll see? It's talking about people who never were even alive, stillborn. So everyone who was alive comes back to life, and even stillborns come back to life. That's what's implied by the repetition. So what about this verse that God gives breath to those who are on the land of Israel? Does not imply that it's only those. That we have a teaching of Rabbi Avo that depends on that. Yama Rabbi Avo, afilu shivcha kanani sheveris Yisrael, muftach la shehibas olam haba. If you're even a lowly maidservant in the land of Israel, you still get olam haba, still get your share in the world to come. And from this verse, ksiv hacha la'am aleha, God gives breath to the people, the nation on it, on the land of Israel. Ksiv hasam shulachem povim achamor. At the Akedah, Abraham says to his servants, "You stay here with the donkey, and I'll take Yitzchak up to Har Moriah." Am hadom al chamor. So this is a notorious drash that you, Eliezer, you're part of a people that's like a donkey. So there's a two-step thing here. First, you have to say im means means a nation. So Eliezer, who was just a servant of Abraham from another nation, because he was in Eretz Yisrael, he still gets Olam Haba. Sorry. Knocked over my coffee. We learn you should give the daf yomi from your regular desk and not while you're traveling. Ruach lahol chiba. The continuation of this verse is you get God gives you spirit to those who walk in Eretz Yisrael. Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah or Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yirmiyah said, "Thank you." Yeah, that's good. Thanks. Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, "Kol mahalech arba amos b'Eretz Yisrael, muftach lo sheben olam haba." All you have to do is walk in the land of Israel. You walk 4 amos, you're in olam haba. Rabbi Elazar tzadikim shemchutzim chaim. What about Rabbi Elazar? um, uh, that tzaddikim outside of Eretz Yisrael don't come back to life. Rabbi Ilah Ayidei Gilgul, like they really not come back to life anymore. So we interpreted that they have to tunnel underground to Eretz Yisrael that's where they're resurrected. So in other words, it's a lot more work to be resurrected from outside the land of Israel. Maski for Rabbi Abasala asked Gilgul Tzadikim Tzaru, like if they're tzaddikim, whether they have to go through the difficulty of tumbling underground to get to Eretz Yisrael for tzaddikim. And they seem Rabbi Mechilos Nasos Lehem B'Karka. Now the tunnels will be made for them. It's not going to be so hard. They're going to be able to crawl through the tunnels easily or walk through the tunnels easily until they get to Eretz Yisrael. So it's not so bad for the tzaddikim. Okay, so Yaakov Avinu says to Yosef, "When I die, I want you to take me back to Canaan and bury me in the ancestral grave." Amar Karna said, "Dvarim b'go." There are hidden things here. Yaakov Avinu tzaddik amar. Yaakov knew that he was a good guy. So if it's the case that you could be, if you're a tzaddik, you can be resurrected from Eretz Yisrael. So why did he have to, why did he have to trouble his children to take him back to Eretz Canaan for burial? Shema because he said, okay, I know I'm good enough that I'm going to be brought back to life, but maybe I'm going to have to dig my own tunnel to get back to Eretz Yisrael. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'm not that good a guy that I get what the tunnel dug for. Similarly, you find Yosef also forswore his children to take his bones back to Eretz Yisrael when they return there. Amar Chanina, Chanina says there's hidden things here. Same thing. Yosef knew that he was a good guy. But so if he was good enough to be resurrected, why did he have to trouble his brothers, his children, his descendants to carry his bones so far, 400 parsa, which I guess is just a way of saying all the way to Egypt, all the way to Canaan. Same reason, because maybe he wouldn't get the tunnels. He wasn't good enough to get the tunnels. He would have to dig his own tunnel to get back. So that's why he asked to be buried there to struggle in the first place. Rabba's brothers sent him the following message. They sent him this idea that people should want to be, even tzaddikim should want to be buried in Eretz Yisrael. And Ilfa added something to that. There was somebody who was he was in love with a woman. He lived in Eretz Yisrael. She lived outside of Eretz Yisrael. So he was going to go move to be with her. When he heard this drash, he interesting phrase. Gilgal is like rolling under the ground. But he endured living in Eretz Yisrael without the woman he wanted to live with until the day he died. He took it so seriously that he wanted to live and die in Eretz Yisrael. And so he added, even though you Rabbah are great, Talmud Chacham, you can't compare someone who is self-taught to someone who has a teacher. So in other words, in Eretz Yisrael, you'll have it'll be like you have a teacher, or here you'll have teachers here. In Pumbedisa, you're the top dog. You're basically you're learning from yourself, as it were. You tell Harav, and if you think that there's nobody here in Eretz Yisrael that is worthy of being your teacher, yes, Harav, not so. Rabbi Yochanan could be your teacher. He's greater than you. And if you don't come, be careful with 3 things. You should be precautions you should take. Al Tarba Yeshiva. don't spend too much time sitting down. So yeshiva kasha l'tachta, it's because it's not good for your digestive system, or maybe it translates here for hemorrhoids. V'al tarba b'amida, don't stand too much. Shamida kasha l'lev, because that's stressful on your heart. V'al tarba b'alicha, don't walk too much. Shalicha kasha l'einayim, because that's bad for your eyes. Ela shlish b'yeshiva, shlish b'amida, shlish b'hilach. You spend a third of your time sitting, a third of your time walking, a third of your time standing. And kol yeshiva she'eni masmicha, and sitting, make sure you have some support, have a good desk chair. Amida nachem, because sitting in a chair without support, it's better to be standing. Amida sakadata, so the verse says really it's better to be standing. You say that's stressful to the heart. Ela yeshiva she'en basmicha, amida she'esh basmicha no chayimena. Talking about not having support. If you don't have support sitting or standing, then standing is without support is standing with support. Is better than sitting without support. Okay. Similar saying, Yitzchak v'Shimon v'Oshaya Amar davar achad. These three said the same thing. Halacha Rabbi Yehuda b'frados. Halacha follows Rabbi Yehuda regarding mules. Detanya, what is that teaching? Rabbi Yehuda Omer Pirda Shatava, a mule that that's in heat. Ein marbin aleha lasus v'chamor. Don't let her mate with a horse or a donkey. Ella mina, only with another mule. What does this have to do with anything? I forget. So this has nothing to do with anything. It's just a different decision by the people that we have just quoted. Okay, it's a little off topic. It has to do with mixing breeds and so on. It's getting a little late, so I think we'll go on. Amar Belazar, Ami Haratzos Einot Chaim, Amhar, as someone who is not educated in Torah will not be resurrected. Shenemar Mesim Bal Yichyu. These dead they're dead who never come to life. Tanya Namiachi, we have a similar statement. Mesim Bal Yichyu Yachal Akal. Maybe when it says these people are dead and they won't live, means everybody. Talmud Lomar Refaim Bal Yakum. They are Refaim. They're weak, lifeless. Translates here, and they will never get up. We're talking about someone who weakens himself from the words of Torah. Someone who doesn't study Torah, that's the person who applies who will not be resurrected. That's not God's not going to like what you said. Not that you're ignorant of Torah. A lot of people ignorant of Torah. It doesn't mean that they don't merit resurrection. But if you weaken yourself in the sense that you become an idol worshiper, then you get overlooked for Tchias HaMesim. Amar Leis, we said Mikra Acher and Nidarish. I have another proof that shows that even the people who are weak in Torah don't get resurrected. Receive Kital Oros Talecha Ve'eretz Rufaim Tapil. The verse, the Navi continues, wake up and shout with joy, you who are sleeping in the dust and dirt. Your dew is like the dew that the dew of Oros. We'll see what that means in a minute. And and those who are lifeless will fall to the ground. So what does this mean? What is the Oros? Someone who is involved with the light of Torah, or Torah Machayev, that he gets revived or resurrected by the light of Torah. Someone who is not involved with Torah and our Torah Machayev doesn't get resurrected by the light of Torah. The Chazon is to come in star. But what Rabbi Lazar saw that Rabbi Yochanan didn't like what he was saying. Amarle, he said, Rabbi Matzasi Latakana Min Torah. There's a way out. You, the Torah says, you who stick to God, you're all alive today. So we're gonna explain what that means. How can you stick to God? God is ephemeral. There's no way to physically attach yourself to God. And God is a consuming fire, so you can't attach yourself to God. So what does it mean? Someone who marries his daughter to a Talmid Chacham, or he supports business-wise, he supports people who study Torah, or he gives his possessions, gives his financial support to Torah scholars, then that's as if you were attaching yourself to the Shekhinah. So there's a way, even if you yourself don't study Torah, you're still in the club if you support those who study Torah. Similarly, the Torah says you should love God and stick to Him. How can you stick to the Shekhinah? It's another way. Again, it's the same explanation how this sticking to God can be accomplished. Amar Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi said, the tzaddikim in the future will, it translates here, they will sprout and come up in Yerushalayim. They'll peek out from the city like the grass. What city is this? Must be Yerushalayim. I'll protect, God says, I'll protect this city. So city without a qualifier means Yerushalayim. Rabbi also said, Asidim tzadikim sheyamdu l'shegan. The tzadikim will be resurrected in their clothes. Kol v'chomer mechita. How do I know that? Because we derive it from wheat. Machita shnikbar, you bury plant a wheat seed, a naked wheat seed. Yosim become a lushim, when it sprouts, it's got lots of clothing. In other words, they're sheaths, right? They're sheaths. It's no longer the seed. The seeds are covered. So tzaddikim shnekru v'lushay and lachas kama. So tzaddikim that get buried, you get buried in tachrichin, you get buried in clothing. So certainly, you'll have clothing when you're resurrected. And Rav Chiya Bar Yosef also said, 1 second. Asida Eretz Yisrael shetosi gluskos uchlei melas. The earth of Eretz Yisrael will produce cakes and clothes. Shnemar yihi pisas bar baretz. There will be pisas bar. There will be. It literally means a lot of grain. And pisas, the Gemara interprets as meaning baked goods and wool. Okay, because you have ksonas pasim, which is a coat of wool, and what's the cake business? Pasian. Okay, whatever, it's interpreted this way as another thing about the soil where it's Rosh Harim, there will be a lot of grain on the earth, on the heads of the tops of the mountains. They said, Asida chita shetisamer b'tdekel be'ol Rosh Harim. A stalk of wheat will grow like a tamar, like a palm tree, until its top is so high that it's level with the head of the tops of the mountains. Maybe that's not such a blessing. Maybe such large wheat stalks, who's going to be able to harvest them? Talmud Lomar. So the Torah says, the Navi says, Yirash kalvanon piria. this produce will rustle like the trees of Lebanon, the cedars of Lebanon. HaKadosh Baruch Hu maybe ruach mibeis azov. God will bring a wind. Umenashva allow umashra sultan. God will harvest it for you. The wind will take the flour from the wheat and blow it down for you, so you don't have to, it won't be hard to harvest. The elements will suddenly maybe below pieces, and you can go into the field, just wander around the field. You can get hands full of flour from this wheat. And you can support your family that way. Im chelev kilyos chita. So another extravagant claim about the land of Israel is that the wheat will be as fat as kidneys. They said the wheat of this future world will be as big as the two kidneys of a big ox. The Alta Taman, don't wonder about that, because we've seen in our own times, pumpkins that grow big enough for a fox to make its home in. So I'm sure we've all seen prize-winning pumpkins. So you see that there are you can have giant produce. So don't think that this is an exaggeration about the future times. They weighed this pumpkin, whatever turnip, and it was 60 liters in volume. The liter shall tzipari with it, tziparian liter. Tanya, Amar Yossi says, Masav Shichin Bechad Sheniach Lo Aviv Shlosha Badei Chardal. A man, he inherited from his father 3 mustard stalks. V'nifshach echad mehem, and one of them sprouted off. Another had some kind of mitosis or something. V'nimtu bo tisha kavin chardal. And that they got 9 kav of mustard seed from it. The Eitzav Sikhubo Sukas Yatzrin, and there was such a large plant that the wood of that plant was enough as to cover a hut, a potter's hut. Translates here, Sukas Yatzrin. So somebody's workspace. So it was huge. These are more examples of very large produce. Okay, yeah, David said he would pick up from around here. So let's just finish this one. Our father left us a stock of cabbage. And it was so big that we needed a ladder to climb up to the top. Okay, so let's stop here. David said we had a very long daf today, and David's going to pick up here tomorrow. Oh. Have a good day, everybody.
These are so long. It seems like the Gemara, the author of the Gemara wanted to pack it